I'd like to call this meeting to order. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mrs. Chu.
Here.
Mr. Sismar.
Here.
Mr. Hong.
Here.
Mrs. Lax.
Here.
Mrs. Reese.
Here.
Mr. Seeler.
Here.
Mr. Simmons.
Here.
Mr. Winston.
Here.
President Becker.
Here we have a quorum. Please rise to salute the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend meetings of public bodies. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the East Brunswick Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published at the Board of Education office. Written notice was also provided to the Sentinel, the Newark Star-Ledger, the Home News and Tribune, and the Municipal Clerk of East Brunswick. All Board of Education meetings, with the exception of executive session discussions, are videotaped for later broadcast. It is the policy of the Board of Education that videotape meetings are not edited for any purpose, and individuals who speak at the board's public meeting should be aware of those videotaping rules. Good evening. I can't see your faces, but I know you're all smiling at us. Well, we're smiling because this is up there with one of our absolute favorite nights of the year. So without any further ado, we are going to start our Wall of Honor induction ceremony.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for all being here to celebrate the 2019 Wall of Honor inductions. Tonight, we have the distinct pleasure of honoring two outstanding individuals who have influenced our school district in extraordinary ways. We will share the details of their district contributions with you later in the program. The Wall of Honor you see here, my Vanna moved, by the way, was constructed for the purpose of honoring individuals who have made a significant and extraordinary contribution to East Brunswick Public Schools. A recognition committee composed of members of the Board of Education, East Brunswick Education Association, and East Brunswick Principals and Supervisors Association was established to develop the guidelines and criteria for the selection of the honorees. Eligibility for this honor begins 1.5 years following the June 30th of the retirement year and ends 3.5 years after that. A Register of Honor is located to the right, the big book down there, of the Wall of Honor, which details the service history of the individuals chosen for this honor. The register allows us to memorialize the wonderful contributions of these individuals. At this time, I would like to introduce Ms. Vicki Becker, President of the East Brunswick Board of Education.
Hello. It feels like this is a gathering of family. Looking out on the audience, not literally just the families, but former honorees and so many of our staff and educational community have come out tonight. So if you walk around a museum, whether you're going to see a specific exhibit or just to walk around, you go through the halls and the galleries and you just see wonderful thing after wonderful thing. All different types of art expressed through different mediums. And each one is just wonderful and makes you feel great. But every once in a while, you find yourself just stopped before a certain painting or sculpture. You're not sure why, it just kind of reaches out and grabs you. And you realize that you are in the presence of greatness. And that's how I've always felt about the Wall of Honor. Our schools, our buildings are full of wonderful, oh, he's just excited about Grandma. Our schools and buildings are full of wonderful staff, administrators, and support staff. They're all wonderful. But every once in a while, we come upon the presence of greatness. And I can't think of two better individuals to exemplify that. I know you agree. Then Holly, no apologies, Holly and Beth. Holly, board member. Grandmother. Innovator, mentor, friend. Beth, administrator extraordinaire, wearing so many hats, moving through the district with a grace and a quiet charm, behind it a fierce intelligence, an incredible commitment to the children of our district. The Board of Education congratulates the two of you and your families, and we are so happy and proud to be here tonight to celebrate your accomplishments. Thank you.
I'd like to introduce Dr. Dana Zimbicki, who is president of the East Brunswick Education Association, to say a few words.
Good evening, everyone. Beth and Holly, congratulations on receiving this highest award offered by the East Brunswick schools. Without a doubt, you both deserve this recognition of your lifelong work. Beth, the East Brunswick Education Association always appreciated your open-minded approach in handling situations and your willingness to be a problem solver. Your work in the various positions you held over the years has enabled our district to grow. You've provided support to teachers and support staff, wisdom and empathy for our students, and passion and vision for our district. You deserve this award because you understand the importance of we rise by lifting others. Thank you for doing so much heavy lifting for our district over the years. Holly, you're an icon of East Brunswick and a boots-on-the-ground type of person. Your early involvement in the PTA, on committees, and ultimately as a board member has impacted us in so many ways. The PTA grants program was part of your life's work. You helped to provide and create opportunities for teachers and support staff. Your work on the bond referendums, and most importantly, your insight on how these referendums would impact our students, has enabled students and staff to operate in modern 21st century schools. Holly, you're also an inclusive person, always making sure people feel valued and welcomed. You made a difference in our schools and in our community, and you did so with grace, kindness, thoughtfulness, and persistence. Your impact was felt far and wide and is still a factor today. There's a quote that says, "In every day, there are 1,440 minutes. That means we have 1,440 daily opportunities to make an impact." This describes Holly perfectly. Thank you, Holly, for always taking advantage of every minute. Thank you.
And now, representing the East Brunswick Principals and Supervisors Association, I'd like to introduce Danielle Danino, who's going to say a few words.
Hi. It's truly a pleasure to be here tonight honoring two outstanding people for their positive contributions to East Brunswick Public Schools. Holly Howard, an innovative Board of Education member, and Beth Warren, a teacher, a supervisor, a principal, a director, and to me, a mentor, role model, and friend. Holly and Beth are people that everyone remember when they reflect on their time in East Brunswick. They've always been the go-to people that you can count on and they were leaders in our community. It is because of their extraordinary contributions that each of these people have made to East Brunswick learning community that we have nominated and selected them to be placed on this wall of honor. As our students look for role models and heroes in life, they need to look no further than Holly and Beth. So on behalf of the principals, assistant principals, supervisors, and department chairs of East Brunswick Public Schools, I offer my genuine congratulations to Holly and Beth on this well-deserved honor.
Thank you, Danielle. Now, as Superintendent of Schools, I have the pleasure of speaking about each of the inductees. After each induction is read, we'll ask the honoree to come up and to meet Danielle Ruggiero at the wall to uncover your nameplate. Inductee Holly Howard. Booker T. Washington said, "Those who are happiest, as your grandchild is, are those who do the most for others." No wonder Holly is perpetually happy. This selfless woman lives and breathes the phrase, service to others. From the moment her children, Jennifer and Josh, enrolled as students in our district, Holly's incredible service to the East Brunswick Public Schools community began. A vital member of the Frost PTA, Holly ran Frost after-school program with Amy Eisenberg, prepared teacher and staff appreciation luncheons, and spearheaded field day with her wonderful PTA teammates. Holly's love for Frost School and the district continued to grow throughout these years. She credits her exposure to the teamwork, dedication, and creativity she witnessed through volunteerism at Frost School as her inspiration to have a greater impact on the district at large. When Jen and Josh reached middle and high school, Holly was elected to the Board of Education and would spend the next 18 years continuing her service to others. During her tenure, Holly was appointed as board president and vice president and served on various committees, including Building and Grounds and EBEA negotiations. Among Holly's greatest joys as a board member was the opportunity to visit classrooms and learn about programs. Holly absorbed all she saw, including a deep understanding of the vital connection between elementary and secondary grades, which guided her decision-making as a board member. Holly thrived on working closely with teachers, administrators, staff, and her colleagues, and appreciated their individual contributions to the district. Perhaps Holly's greatest contribution while serving on the board stemmed from her deep belief that students learn in an optimum environment. This belief inspired her work in passing successful referendums, as you'd already heard, for Lawrence Brook Central and Memorial Elementary Schools, as well as the brand-new Hammersholt Middle School. Holly's vision and special touches, along with her flair for decorating, are seen throughout these wonderful buildings. And I know from firsthand experience, I watched Holly pick out tile color. Holly's pride and love for our staff was also a driving force behind her work. Holly fondly recalls all-night EBEA negotiation sessions ending up as the sun came up. One year, an all-nighter led to the start of teacher orientation, where Dr. Magistro went straight from the negotiations meeting to welcoming new staff with only a quick brush of her hair and new lipstick. I can imagine Joanne doing that. Lastly, the feeling of marching up the aisle with her fellow board members and the administration during EBHS graduation ceremonies is a profoundly strong and beautiful feeling Holly carries deep within her heart. In Holly's words, education is a people business. It would be impossible to list the names of all people who have meant so much to me through all the years. Holly does, however, blame fellow board member and friend Nancy Paulson for pushing her to run for the board, and for Dr. Joanne Magistro for making it impossible for her to leave. Her life has been enriched by the lifelong friendships and connections she made through the PTA and her board service, and the belief that she made a difference here in East Brunswick. Since her retirement from the board, Holly has been enjoying more time with her husband Bill, her son Josh, and his wife Katie, and grandsons Zach and Aiden. Zach will be a kindergartner at Lawrenceburg School this September, which brings Holly back to contribute in her role as grandmother. And Holly's daughter Jennifer is currently working in San Diego and could not make it tonight, but she is here in spirit. Holly is eternally grateful to Bill, Josh, and Jen for giving her the necessary time to serve the East Brunswick community over the years and for making tonight possible. Holly, we are beyond grateful for all you have done as a champion for all children. Thank you. Congratulations to Holly Howard.
Say something? Yes. Well, I didn't prepare anything, and everything they said makes me blush. Thank you all for coming out on this lovely weather evening. Congratulations to Beth, a woman I've known, respected, and admired for a very long time, and to your family. I guess I should also thank the voters of East Brunswick for allowing me this opportunity to serve on the board for so many years. It's truly been a labor of love. A big thank you to all the exceptional men and women I've met over the years, superintendents, board members, central office people, EBA leadership, teachers, staff, everybody. They always graciously gave me their time and expertise when I needed to understand an issue, and I want them to know that it was really appreciated. I guess the last thing is serving on the board takes a lot of time. It's more than the 2 Thursdays a month, and a lot of people don't realize that. Each one of us is assigned 5+ committees, positions on a local, county, and state level that require more meetings, more research, more homework. So I want to thank my family for supporting me and not complaining too much or giving me a hard time. But thank you.
Can't replace that. In 1979, a young, gifted teacher was recruited to join the staff at Irwin Elementary School. No one could have predicted how this standout teacher would blossom into a reading specialist, principal, and director, devoting 37 years to improving education for all students who entered our district. That person is Beth Warren. Over the years, Beth taught every elementary grade between Irwin and Frost School, including pre-K. She served as the district's K-12 integrated language arts supervisor, which further prepared her for the role of principal. In her last role as director of community relations and principal support, Beth's knowledge and perspective provided her with unique insight and knowledge that to make decisions that were best for students throughout the district. Now it says here, Beth loved collaborating with some guy called Dr. Valesky and the central office team, as well as the principals, supervisors, and staff. She felt we all learned a lot from one another, and we certainly did. Throughout her years in East Brunswick, Beth was involved with the development and transformation of one of her favorite places, the Frost School courtyard. Together with the Rutgers Extension Service and landscape architecture class, they planted trees and plants to create the courtyard. Years later, when an addition to the school closed the courtyard, an idea came to create a classroom without walls. Beth was instrumental in writing an EBEF grant, which allowed for the addition of a pond and courtyard flower beds. A second EBEF grant funded the addition of a gazebo. As years passed, many teachers and parents and administrators and students contributed to enhance the courtyard. To this day, the courtyard hosts new student activities, science lessons, PTA functions, school celebrations, and serves to memorialize those who are no longer with us. Beth's favorite memories as principal of Frost School include a second grade sleepover. You heard me right, a second grade sleepover. Imagine doing that today. After an extensive literacy unit, the entire second grade, including parents and teachers, spent an evening of fun literacy activities, then slept on the gym floor. A fun time was had by all, except all the parents who woke up with very stiff backs. One of Beth's career highlights was leading Frost School to blue ribbon fame. Although in her heart, Beth always knew Frost was blue ribbon caliber, to get formal recognition was such a thrill for the entire school community. The PTA put large blue ribbons on trees in front of the school, and the Courtyard Club planted a special garden with a blue ribbon sculpture. And the entire school wore blue for the fabulous celebration. What a wonderful memory. Most important to Beth are her memories which come from the heart of the school, the ones that exemplify why people become educators. A first grade student reads his first sentence aloud after struggling for months. A second grade girl who once cried because she couldn't spell writes an entire story and reads it through happy tears. A new teacher thanks you for modeling a lesson for her and tells you is feeling more confident. Staff who come together and bring in clothing and toys for students in need. The energy in a school building where everyone is focused on the same thing, the best things for students. Beth is grateful to her family, who provided her with the time and support needed to learn and grow in the profession. Her husband Douglas, son Drew, who lives in South Jersey with his wife Danielle, and son Kyle, who lives in Denville. And her parents, who are a source of pride and inspiration to her. Over the years, Team Beth spent countless hours putting stickers on papers, cutting out pumpkins, listening to endless ideas about teaching, and helping to set up classrooms for September opening each year. For that, in this honor, Beth is grateful. And one personal note on Beth. It was announced that I was going to be the next superintendent for East Brunswick, Beth had the enormous job of transporting me around to various schools to meet with the teachers. And this is how the day with Beth went. Get in the car, here's a bottle of water for you. We're covering 11 schools in one day. I'm grateful to you, Beth. Congratulations to Beth Warren.
This is a little overwhelming. I'd like to thank the Board of Education for having me here tonight. It's very special. And I'd like to thank many people who have been on this journey with me. From my mentors to co-workers all across the district in different buildings, to parents, the wonderful parents that I've worked with for years and years and who supported the students and the activities, the amazing students, and I actually see a couple here tonight, that's pretty incredible, and to my family who've supported me from the beginning of my career to the very end. I thank you very much. And most important, to the teachers, my teacher colleagues who just work hard and are dedicated and have been an inspiration to me as an educator. Thank you very much.
Just want to thank you all for coming tonight. I know it's significant for the honorees. And we'll have a few moments now before we start the actual board meeting at 8 o'clock for you all to socialize and have a chance to take some photographs in front of the Wall of Honor. Have a great evening.
And we're back. We're going to change up the order of our agenda just a little, and I know you'll be very upset to hear this, but we're going to have our student presentation before our superintendent report tonight. So, but we have some children who have been very patiently waiting, and their teachers, to share with us things. Let me just say again how proud we are of Hallie Howard and Beth Warren. They are two examples of the excellence that we have in this district, two reasons why this place works. So, we are going to have two Learning Across the District presentations tonight, and our first one is going to be from Central Elementary School. If the teachers would like to introduce themselves and tell us what we're going to be hearing about.
Hello, everyone. My name is Angela Scarpa. I am a fourth grade teacher at Central, and I am also the Pride captain at our school. And I'm just going to start off with a quote. What if our students can learn by exploring their own passions, interests, and questions? What if there was a way to teach the standards by giving them opportunities to learn by making, creating, and even designing? This quote from Annie McNair, author of Genius Hour Passion Projects that Ignite Innovation and Student Inquiry, is one of the driving thoughts behind a meaningful shift in the way teachers at Central School plan their lessons this year. Tonight we have representatives from students in grades kindergarten, second, third, and fourth that are going to showcase just some of the fun and innovative work that the students created this year. It's worth noting that these and many other students' creations will be on display at our inaugural Makers Day on June 7th from 10 to 11 a.m. We hope to see some of you there.
And why does it have these strings?
So it can go on a tree.
And you made holes in the bottom. Why are there holes in the bottom?
So when it rains, it doesn't overflow.
So when it rains, it doesn't overflow. And what is this black thing in here?
A toy.
A toy for them? And then you have something in the middle. Can you tell us about that?
You can put the food in.
To put the food in? And what did you make this out of?
Recycling.
Recycled materials to help the environment. Yeah.
Wait, are you going up there?
This year in second grade, we had a big problem. The problem was that we were stuck inside all winter for indoor recess, and we got bored playing the same indoor recess games every day. So we came up with the idea of making our own games to play.
As a class, we thought of board games we already liked and made something similar. Our class made four new card games and 2 new board games. Our board game is called the Getting to Know You game. You roll your dice and you put your piece along the board. You have to answer the question you land on. Some of the best ones are, what's your favorite movie? What's your favorite animal? Would you rather go to Florida, Hawaii, or California?
All of them.
and would you rather go to the beach, mall, or school? This game is so fun. We love playing it because you get to know people. Like if you have a new kid in school, you can get to know them better.
Excellent. Oh, great.
Good job.
Okay. A couple months ago, the entire third grade was learning about communities. To conclude the unit, the grade did a project in which each class turned their classroom into a type of community. Mrs. Cagnina's and Mrs. Maya's class did rural, Mrs. Keeley's class did suburban, and Miss Lyon's class, my class, did urban. That's the class I'm going to talk about. As I said, our class did an urban community, and everyone was working on something. Some kids were making a neighborhood, some were doing skyscrapers, some did a pizzeria, some made Broadway, some made roads and cars, and me, Zachary Brass, and Devin Kapoor made a museum. So, in our group, we all were there because the idea of making a museum sounded awesome. Also, me personally, I love going to museums. Now is the hard part, discussing. We had an easy-ish time discussing, but still hard. We had different ideas, but in the end, I learned to be more open-minded. Now I'm going to tell you the things we made. For example, on this paper, which has a cable car model, a subway, skyscraper, bus, taxi, cityscape. The way we built it, well, to sum it up, it was tons of cardboard, paper, crayons, and lots of trial and error. The way we presented it was easy. There was a schedule for one class to go to another. The kids would present or watch, move on. In my group, we gave the people there a tour, like a real museum. In the end, I learned a lot. Like I learned what things you do at a farm, or how cities are really tiring, or how suburban communities are really calm and casual. But most importantly, the three types of communities are really different. I am incredibly happy that instead of doing a test, we did this. That's because this year, in science and social studies, instead of tests, we did fun activities like this. So, thank you for listening to how we did this community project. And again, thank you.
This is a model of a longhouse that Lenape Native Americans lived in. I built this for our social studies project with Rachel Gerold and Jack Resnick. A longhouse is a house that Lenape tribe lived in. It can fit up to 25 people or about 3 families, and each smoke hole represented the family's fire where the smoke came out of. In my model, it was made of felt, popsicle sticks, and tacky glue, but real longhouses were made of animal skins, its bone, and tree saplings, not just school supplies. The size was 6 by 40 feet big, and inside the home would be fire for the warmth, and on corners would be benches for sitting during the day and sleeping at night. The Lenape would store food, baskets, pots, and pans on shelves along the walls. Longhouses were a good place to have meetings and discuss village topics since it was so big and large and fat. Men would go out to hunt and fish with gathered materials and tools like the bow and arrow, while women and children stayed back home cooking, cleaning, and harvesting crops and berries. The longhouse was a very important part of Lenape life. I hope you like my model. My teacher gave us options this year to do projects like this one instead of tests. We still learned what we had to, but in a more fun way.
Oh. Thank you so much. That was fantastic. You know that board game that you made up because you were bored during the winter? You know, we get really bored up here sometimes too. Maybe we could borrow that board game. It looked really good. I'm not kidding. It looked great. You guys did a wonderful job.
Excellent speakers, too.
Great
Yeah.
job. You must keep your teachers laughing all day with joy. Really excellent job. Excellent job all around. One more round of applause. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for coming. Our next speaker is going to be Florence Telliercio, who's I'm good. Who happened to be recognized by a little organization as doing a pretty good job
got her
this
face on the
year.
cover.
Yeah. Let's give them 30
Absolutely.
seconds to go. Okay. Thank you, Florence.
Let's see. School, beach. Which do you choose?
Actually, air conditioning, that's what I choose. Thank you so much again for coming. Hope you're proud of your kids.
Well, that's going to be a hard act to follow.
Yeah.
You can do it, Flo.
Ready?
Please start.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Florence Telliercio, and I am the Director of Support Staff. I also live in East Brunswick, and I work for the East Brunswick Public Schools. I am here tonight to talk about so many wonderful things the educational support professional staff members, in conjunction with others, have accomplished this 2018-19 school year. In October, we participated in the Halloween festivities at the East Brunswick Mall, handed out candy and other goodies to the kids. In November, we hosted our annual coat drive. For shelters in those communities in need, we collected over 150 coats. In March, we had our annual EBEA Spring Fling Dance. Everyone that attended brought in a personal item for the Women Awareness Shelter in New Brunswick. We also collected $215 for them. In April, we helped clean up and beautify East Brunswick Butterfly Park. In May, we hosted our second annual high school Supa social dance. Our theme this year was Beach Bash, and it was a huge success. The kids had a great time dancing and socializing with their friends and even making new friends. The parents attended an informational forum that provided them with knowledge and contents needed to prepare for their child for adult life. This year has been amazing. We are very proud that we can help others in need and be able to give back to our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Flo, for all you do and all the educational support professionals do, because besides all the things you mentioned, you're really good to our kids. You really care about the kids, and you give so much of yourselves to them, and we're so grateful to that. So thank you.
and the fact that she got national recognition.
Ah. And now the moment you've all been waiting for, the Superintendent's Report.
Hi, I'm Victor Valesky. I like the beach. Good evening. Thank you, Ms. Becker. The impressive artwork on display in the boardroom was created by students from Churchill Junior High School. The art teachers are Darren Amy, Deborah Menuza, Kimberly Valdata, and Peter Zakura. The principal is Mark Suter. Through a partnership grant with EBEF and the elementary PTAs, noted children's author Patricia Polacco visited East Brunswick Public Schools last week as part of her retirement tour. Ms. Polacco led programs for our kindergarten through second grade and third through fifth grade students, where she actively told stories from her large repertoire of children's literature. Ms. Polacco also met with teachers during her school visits to offer insights to the stories she had written and illustrated. I'd like to thank the EBEF and the PTAs for making Patricia Polacco's visit possible. Courtesy of a grant from the East Brunswick Education Foundation, on Wednesday, May 29th, the Churchill Jazz Ensemble performed at the second annual Jazz Cafe. The group performed a set of 7 tunes during each of the 4 lunch periods. New music arrangements, a brand new drum set, and electric bass guitar were purchased with the granted funds. Students and staff appreciated the lunchtime performances. And if you haven't seen our Churchill students, they are enormously talented. East Brunswick High School students just completed a problem-based learning module called Urban Plan, created by the Urban Land Institute. It's a 15-hour real estate redevelopment module that emphasizes teamwork, strategic and critical thinking, public speaking, and fundamental real estate and economics principles. 10th through 12th grade students in the IPPL Honors class presented their plans to a mock city council today. Today at Hammersholt, 6th graders presented HistoryCon, a convention at which students share what they've learned from the research on a specific aspect of the ancient world. While investigating the distant past, students made connections to the present day and spoke about their challenges and triumphs as historians. Their skills as researchers, thinkers, and public speakers were showcased at this annual event. Congratulations to them. Congratulations to our May High School Athletes of the Month. Again, students were selected for this honor by the coaching staff based on performance, demonstration of leadership, effort in practice, and for modeling exceptional character. Just a reminder, primary election day on June 4th will be a single session day with no lunch served for all students. Friday, June 7th will be a single session day for all students and staff. Lunch will be served for grades K through 7, and the senior prom is that evening. We wish those attending a safe and memorable celebration. And just as a recap, I know I give a lot of dates, but our district calendar remains updated on our website, so that is a great access point for the community right there. Finally, I'd like to share some of the highlights from last week's 5th Annual State of the District Address. In the academics, we talked about security enhancements that continue throughout the district, and students and staff needing to feel safe and be safe before any teaching or learning can begin. September marks the launch of our Canvas program, which is our new learning management system, which will allow students to access their classrooms electronically. And that will be at both the high school and Churchill, along with our one-to-one computer implementation, a new laptop for each 10th, 11th, and 12th grader, along with all of the high school teachers. And we are pleased to pass along a reduction in the Middlesex County dual enrollment rates for 3 and 4 credit courses, and the reduction is from $200 a course to $125 a course beginning in September. And we're creating 21st century learning spaces that will promote and encourage greater collaboration, investigation, and creativity among our students. In athletics, In the Greater Middlesex Conference, the New Jersey State Interscholastic Athletic Association East Brunswick student athletes were awarded numerous individual and team titles, and 32 athletes committed to play at the college level, one of the all-time highs. And go Bears. In the arts, East Brunswick was named a National Association of Music Merchants 2019 Best Community for Music Education for the 4th consecutive year, as evidenced by numerous awards garnered by our students, and they were numerous, and we listed them that evening. One of those awards, an East Brunswick High School student, won this year's New Jersey Young Composers Competition. And finally, in the community, we are committed to maintain a social media presence, yet strive to communicate timely yet accurate information. And we'll be enhancing our efforts by developing a rapid response team and utilizing our long-standing collaborative relationship with our community partners, Middlesex County, East Brunswick Township, East Brunswick Police Department, the Interfaith Clergy Council, and the Human Relations Council to proactively inform our diverse community when events arise. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Valesky.
I never get an applause for the superintendent, but I appreciate it.
Okay. And now for the good of the cause of the public. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of providing an opportunity to the public to express themselves. To allow for a fair and orderly public comment period, individual comments are limited to 5 minutes. Members of the public are reminded this is a public televised meeting of the Board of Education, and to protect the privacy of all students and staff, concerns regarding individual students and staff members should generally be addressed by first meeting with the appropriate administrative staff. Is there any, what, do we know how to clear out a room or what? Good night, ladies. Thanks again for coming. Is there anybody who would like to speak to the board tonight? Could you please come to the mic? And if you wouldn't mind stating your name and address for the record? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Holly Cerami. I live at 12 Neal Drive. I'm here as the chair of the Clergy Council of East Brunswick, here with some of the members of the clergy this evening. First, I'd like to thank Dr. Valesky. I watched on video, and I appreciate the fact that you are including the Clergy Council in the rapid response team, and I want to thank Trudy. She came to one of our meetings, Trudy Atkins, and she, heard a lot of our concerns and some of the thoughts that we had regarding some of the incidents that have occurred. We believe that these incidents are rare, but they still occur, and we do have a concern that we are able to partner with you to address these concerns. So I have heard that an ad hoc committee is being formed, and I know that it's the end of the year, but we just want to be here to let you know that we are here to work with you. We would like to work with you, and we would like to help you to have a better situation for the students in the schools. The only other thing I'd like to address is I have this. Can I give it to you to share with the council? Okay. It's just a statement that we would like to discuss with you about maybe informing people. There's a lot of negative press. There should be a lot of positive press. And there should be a lot of positive thoughts given out to the community to understand the concern by the school board, by the clergy council, by the human relations council, and by everybody concerned for the safety and the well-being and for the peace of mind of the students in this district. So this is just something we thought that would maybe be a message that we could send to the community to let them know what the intentions of everybody are. So I made a couple of copies. I apologize if I don't have enough for everybody, but I'd like to give it to you to share with the board and get your feedback of whether or not you think this is something that I understand it takes time for things to happen, but in the meantime to send the message to the community of what the intentions are and where we intend to go going forward. I thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming and taking your time to come to speak with us. You'll make copies for everybody. Thank you. It's a pleasure to see all of you here tonight. Thank you for taking your time. Did you want to speak, sir? Absolutely. Again, please name and address for the record. Thank you.
Good evening. Rabbi Eric Eisenkramer of Temple B'nai Shalom. I live at 4 Alpine Court here in East Brunswick. I think I'd like to thank the Board of Education for inviting us all to share some thoughts this evening. We are blessed in East Brunswick with amazing schools. I have 2 children who attend Bow Monroe and love our schools. We have great education, great extracurriculars. We are a diverse community. We are diverse in our religion. We're diverse in our ethnic group. We are a diverse community, and that's one of our great strengths. I'm very pleased to be a member of our East Brunswick Interfaith Clergy Council. Holly represents us, and we have members from our churches in town, from the mosques, from the different Jewish synagogues, and we work together to create understanding and interfaith programs for our community, including our Interfaith Thanksgiving service each year. We, as a body, are very concerned about some of the events that have taken place, as I know the Board of Education is. And we would like to partner with you to create some training, some programs for our students to help to be proactive, to help them understand the value of appreciating one another, of mutual understanding and tolerance. The statement that Holly has handed out, I think, reflects our hope that we can all work together. And I thank you for your time and attention. Thank you very much.
Forgive me, Rabbi, for a minute. When I heard you say you're here from B'nai Shalom, I panicked. I thought you were here to tell me that my younger son, you're taking back his bar mitzvah certification, because I am so sure that he cheated on his Hebrew school homework the whole time he was at the temple.
That is a very funny comment, and I appreciate that. No, we don't take that back.
Okay.
Once you stand up on that bima, we were very. I'm sure we were. How old is your son?
He's 24.
Good for him. Good for him. No, we're very proud of all of our students. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
He'll be so happy his mom just dimed him out, like so many years later.
Is there anybody else wishing to speak to the board? Seeing none, I will close the public portion. I thank you so much for coming. We are very happy and glad to listen to everyone's concerns, and we always like to take something from what people bring to us and talk about it, and we'll absolutely give you some feedback. Okay. Oh, and you're not staying for the rest of the meeting? Oh, no, I'm kidding. You can go. You can go. It's okay. Seriously, go ahead. I was only kidding. It was just a little guilt trip. Just. I know. My hand was like, oh my God, I can't go. Thank you. Okay. Good night, guys. It's just us now. Okay. So now we have our meeting to go through. There's nobody else who wishes to speak tonight, right? Okay. So the good of the cause is closed. Can I please have a motion for the Board of Education items 1 through 3?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Lax. Second by Mr. Seeler. Is there any discussion? Secretary, please call the roll.
Mrs. Chu?
Yes.
Mr. Sismar?
Yes.
Mr. Hahn?
Yes.
Mrs. Lax?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Mr. Seeler?
Yes.
Mr. Simmons?
Yes.
Mr. Winston?
Yep.
President Becker?
Yes, motion carries. Moving on to community programs, can I please have a motion contract award of Richmond programs?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Lax.
Second.
Second by Mr. Seeler. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Moving on to curriculum instruction, I'd like to combine items 1 through 4. Can I please have a motion for that?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Lax.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hong. Is there any discussion? Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mrs. Chu?
Yes.
Mr. Sismar?
Yes.
Mr. Hahn?
Yes.
Mrs. Lax?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Mr. Seeler?
Yes.
Mr. Simmons?
Yes.
Mr. Winston?
Yes.
President Becker?
Yes, motion carries. On our facility items, I'd like to combine items 1 and 2. Can I please have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Lax.
Second.
Second by Mr. Seeler. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Financial services items. I would like to combine items 1 through 29. Motion for that, please.
So moved.
Moved by who?
Me.
Mr. Simmons.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Lax. Is there any discussion? Mr. Hunt.
Yes, for the item 14.
I'm sorry?
Item 14.
It's my
Item
ears.
14,
It's not
yes.
you, it's my ears.
The contract for the Waste and Company LLP. This audit fee is 2 to 72,000, and for some, there's listed different hourly rate. Is this 72,000 the base rate or the flat rate? And whether it's, if so, why there's different hourly rate?
So the base rate is to conduct the annual work, the annual audit and related work associated with that. The hourly rates are for any supplemental work that we may request of them. They may come in to consult on certain issues. We may ask them to undertake a special review. They work with us on certain financing issues that we may have to deal with. So there are various other components to their contract other than the audit.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there any other discussion? Okay, will the secretary please call the roll?
Mrs. Chu?
Yes.
Mr. Sismar?
Yes.
Mr. Hong?
Yes.
Mrs. Lax?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Mr. Seeler?
Yes.
Mr. Simmons?
Yes.
Mr. Winston?
Yes.
President Becker?
Yes, except abstain on item 2, bill list payments, purchase order number P1902752. Okay, human resources, and we do have an addendum on the dais in front of you, so can I please have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Lax.
Second.
Second by Mr. Simmons. Is there any discussion? Will the secretary please call the roll?
Sure, I'll catch that.
We're waiting, don't worry. Take all the time you need.
I will. Thank you. Mrs. Chu?
Yes.
Mr. Sismar?
Yes.
Mr. Hong?
Yes.
Mrs. Lax?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Mr. Seeler?
Yes.
Mr. Simmons?
Yes.
Mr. Winston?
Yes.
And President Becker?
Yes, motion carried. Staff development, can I please have an item for, a motion for item 1, contract instructure?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Lax.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hong. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Student services, can I please have a motion for items 1 through 3?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Lax.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Chu. Is there any discussion? Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mrs. Chu?
Yes.
Mr. Sismar?
Yes.
Mr. Hong?
Yes.
Mrs. Lax?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Mr. Seeler?
Yes.
Mr. Simmons?
Yes.
Mr. Winston? President Becker?
Yes, motion carries. For transportation services, can I like to combine items 1 and 2? Can I please have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Lax.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Reese? Sure. Okay. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Boy, between my hard of hearing and the soft replies. Okay, moving on to committee reports, information items, and for the good of the cause, we're going to start with Kirthana. When's the prom?
Prom's June 7th.
Yeah, I just know.
Someone wasn't listening.
Well, I was thinking ahead to the children's presentation, or behind to the children's presentation. Anyway, when's the prom? 7th? Awesome.
Very, very excited. Well, I'll start with the boring stuff. We'll get that all out of the way, and then we'll get to the fun stuff. Both AP and state testing are over for the
Yeah.
year, so many of the students are very, very excited. And second semester seniors have already settled in. They do have finals, but final season's coming and fast approaching, but that's another story. Now, on to the fun stuff. So school's going to be ending within the next few weeks, and we have a lot planned in those next few weeks. We've already had a bunch of field trips so far. So actually within these past 3 days, we had the urban planning field trip, which our IPPL students did an amazing job on. I heard all sorts of stories, very interesting, and I heard it was amazing. We also have Collision coming up tomorrow, so make sure to head on out up to the high school. It starts at 7. It's our dance competition. It's our annual dance competition, and many of our students prepared long and hard for this amazing competition, and they have very, very good food. I'll say that. You may also have heard about the blood drive, which was actually today, and we had over I think we had approximately about 80 to 90 students who were able to donate, which is an amazing turnout. All the time slots were booked. So we will hear at Senior Awards how many people were actually able to donate, because many people were turned down for whether traveling and things like that. But whatever that may be, many people wanted to show their support to the cause, and it was an amazing event. We also have Relay for Life coming up, an event very near and dear to my heart. It's coming up on June 4th, the same day as senior send-off and elections. So we have that great event coming up where we raise money for cancer research and cancer awareness. Many of the students from NHS have been going around to get the community involved, from getting donations, from getting sponsorships and things like that. And it's a great event that we're trying to get the community involved, as well as the school. So we're trying to paint the halls purple. Come on over June 4th to see. It's during the half-day session, 9 to 11:45. Senior awards are also coming up, and senior awards are going to be a great night. I know that much. That much can be said. We also had our band concert, our last band concert of the year, something very important to me. So I would like to thank Mr. Toth for putting on a great performance and having our students perform wonderfully at the band concert. And last but not least, prom. Prom is coming up June 7th, and we are going to have our Roaring 20s prom. So a lot of us are very, very excited, and a lot of the girls have been getting ready for their boutonnieres, their corsages, the makeup, everything in between, their hair appointments.
Of us going, ooh.
I know, dresses. Yes, the dresses are amazing. And we're all very excited for prom weekend, and for everyone out there, I have to make the announcement, we need to make sure we're safe, and that safety is most important. And they brought out the car. So they brought out that car in front of the high school, and that's a very important message, I think, that has been shared to the students at our school, and I think that is something that we need to reiterate. And so hopefully everyone has a safe prom season, and that's it.
In between, you're going to classes still, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right.
Yes, don't worry about that.
And when is your last meeting? Is it the night that we do student awards?
It is.
Unless we keep her back.
No.
I'm ready to leave.
There you go.
Maybe I'll come back in the next few years.
We're the people
never
who make
know.
it happen, honey, so don't worry.
I saw her at decision day, and I could tell then she was ready to go.
Oh my God.
Well, we celebrate you moving on, but we will miss you. But we'll save that for your last meeting.
She'll come back.
Yes,
Yeah, that's what they all
very
say. You notice, it's packed with former student
I was
reps.
gonna say, we're trying to
okay.
see if we can actually get like an entire board that's alumni.
Yeah.
Right?
NYU's not that far
No,
away.
not gonna happen.
I know I'm gonna be coming back. I'm very, very certain about that.
We won't replace you with your son, don't worry.
He cheated on his Hebrew school, trust me. Okay, committee reports, information items, and for the good of the cause from the board.
I have a committee, yeah.
Lori?
So, you look like you're questioning. So the Garden State Coalition had their annual breakfast meeting, and Dr. Bowley, Ms. Atkins, Barbara, and myself represent the district.
Oh, great.
Yes, it was very interesting. They had the First Lady, Tammy Murphy, was very impressive speaker. I don't know what the rest of you thought. I was actually really impressed with her dedication to education and the state. They had the Commissioner Lamont Rapolette, I'm probably going to say it wrong, Rapolette, who came back for the second year. And they had a few legislators, and they really talked about some of the issues that are impacting public education. And what I liked was the willingness of the legislators to listen to the education people, and they had a member of the State Board of Education there as well, the vice president, and so I'm hopeful. They brought up a lot of the challenges, but I'm hopeful that these fine people working together can help us to fill in some of the budget gap and some of the extraordinary issues that public schools are facing in this Garden State. So that was that, and then for the good of the cause, I just wanted to piggyback on, this was a really exciting superintendent's report for me, because almost everything you had up there, I was actually fortunate to see. So I started my day with the ULI presentation and got to see a couple of the kids, and wow. They had this, and they had, the council set up. These kids, when I look at this, I see the kids here, how young they're starting. They were amazing. If you told me that these were professionals presenting, I would have believed it. They were so bright. You and your peers, I'm so enamored. Every year you guys get smarter and better spoken, and they took tough questions, and they were able to think on their feet and have really well thought out answers, and that was impressive. I went from there to HistoryCon, and I just have to laugh when you talked about the distant past. I had a really wonderful time learning about this distant past, but my highlight was this one young lady who did a whole presentation on the underworld, told me that her fascination with the underworld and death came from the fact that she is on her third reincarnation. And she proceeded to tell, did you see her? Yes. And she proceeded to tell me about her first one was a young woman, and then she was a cat. She had names, details, and this kid had some personality. She was phenomenal. So kudos to all of these kids, but my new friend Alex was spectacular. So that was really cool. And then I just wanted to make sure that I know I did this to you guys again. I won't do it as long this time. The Patricia Polacco, I just want to remind everybody, this education foundation that we have is such a blessing for this district. And this was a wonderful opportunity for the PTAs to work in partnership together again. And I just have to give a special thank you to Stephanie Potabucky, because the PTAs worked very hard with the Education Foundation, but if it was not for this young lady going to the different media specialists and the different PTAs and taking 6 of our 8 schools and working and doing, I can't tell you the amount of work she put into this, every detail to the itinerary, we wouldn't have her here if it weren't for this child. Not child, I'm sorry. Just this young lady. It was phenomenal. So again, the Education Foundation, I thank them because their grants amazed me, and this was just a true partnership between the PTA and spearheaded by this very, very wonderful young lady that just put together something that was so special to all of our students and all of our staff in the schools. So, and that will be the end of my Patricia Polacco until she comes back to the district again. Or I go to visit her because she is my new best friend.
Thank you, Laura. Really appreciate it. I have Barbara.
Yeah, I have the Student Services Board Committee report. Not as exciting as that, but we did do a lot of good things in Student Services. So we had a meeting on May the 13th, and the topic at the meeting covered transitions from the different school buildings, 5th to 6th. Oh, I didn't put on the thank you.
Let's start over.
No.
No.
Just really calmly, no.
No. Fine. I'll give a summary. It was about transitions, and it was also about mindfulness. See, I have to practice mindfulness here, right? I should take my breaths, right? So we talked about that. And the whole idea is that a lot of folks don't realize that we do a lot of wonderful behavioral work dealing with emotional well-being in the schools already. So this highlighted some of that fantastic work that our teachers and administrators do in all the different school buildings. So actually in one building we had at the elementary level teacher from Central wrote a grant for mindfulness, and they actually have the safety patrol teaching yoga to the other kids. So, I mean, examples like that where the kids took on this whole topic on their own. So that, and there are a lot of examples. I mean, there's relaxation techniques at Chittick. They used the breathing exercises, a singing bowl. Perhaps we should bring them to some of our meetings. It was a wonderful experience, and it talks about the whole child. And that it's not just about grades, it's not just about homework, it's not just about being, an A student, it's about being a good person and understanding your environment, other people, and being able to handle situations that are stressful, and how do you deal with those situations. And these are lessons for life. So we all could use some of these lessons. So I was also very impressed by, like you were saying, impressed by the kids. They just really have it all going on. And they really knew they have a sense of how to act and how to handle situations. I don't think I would have known at that age how to handle some of these situation. So thank you to Mr. Figueroa and his whole team. Every meeting we have wonderful things going on, so you're always welcome to come down. If you don't have enough committee meetings, come on down to Student Services. We're welcome to have you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Barbara. Mr. Chad?
I have one thing, definitely not anywhere near as profound as Barbara and Lori. But on my way out today, I have to do this. My son asked me, what do you actually do at the Board of Education meetings? He had one question he wants to say, can you ask Dr. Valesky one thing for me? So for Cole, I'm doing this. He wants to know why half-days are not actually half-days. They should be 3 hours long. And I told him I'd ask you, I knew the answer to the question, but I told him I would just ask you on why the days are actually not a half-day. They go longer than a half-day. That's my third grader.
He has a good point.
Why do you call it a half-day if it's not a half-day?
Single session.
So I think we should name it as a little more than a half day.
Yes, and that's perfectly acceptable for him.
Yeah, I think that's what we should do. But point well taken, it's not really a half day.
So we'll have full days and a little more than half days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, single session's not right, because that would mean on a regular day, it's a double session.
That's right.
Right.
And it's not a double session.
Good
It's
point.
just,
We could reduce it to
So I think
minutes.
We have
how about state required minimum?
Yes.
State required
State
minimum.
required,
That's
I like that.
The 4
State
hours?
required
The
minimum.
bare
In
minimum.
order to get our spring break
Right,
days.
right.
Okay.
With lunch. Yeah, that's a good point.
Anybody else? Okay.
Brings it from Sue, right?
We do have, I'm sorry?
No.
Okay, I actually heard something, so I wanted to take advantage of it. Okay, we do have a need for a closed session, whereas the Board of Education must discuss matters which are not appropriate for discussion in a public meeting. Whereas the Board of Education intends to discuss matters as follows, those items listed in the agenda. The length of the closed session is estimated to be 2 hours, after which the public meeting of the board shall reconvene and action may be taken. Can I please have
So
a
moved.
motion? Mr. Simmons, moved by Mr. Simmons.
Second.
By Mr. Sismar. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. We're in closed session. Good night. Thank you.